So I'm going to try this for the third time. Somehow my camera, the memory keeps flipping out on me. But good morning, everybody. Bon dia. I hope that you all are having a great day today. It's kind of cloudy and overcast today. So as I had said previously, we don't have huge plans today. Josh has a meeting with representation for him about 5:45. We'll see how it goes. I'm not too sure if I'm going to like this company or not, but we'll find out. At least worth checking out. So instead, today I'm going to be showing you how to make my Bolognese sauce, because people really like it. It's really easy. There's some key steps to it that make it so that you can add anything you want into it. So the first thing that I've done is to defrost some ground pork that I had in a pan. Okay, so I added a little bit of olive oil to the pan, about 2 tablespoons, just like 2 times around the pan. I don't measure anything because I just don't. That's too much like science. Just some salt, and the other thing I love in this is the Trader Joe's everyday seasoning. It's just delicious. It's just a mix of all different kinds of herbs and spices, and it really adds a nice flavor to anything that I make. So I kind of use it sometimes in place of pepper. This is going to be one-handed, but since this is ground pork, I'm going to use some fennel seed. It's just whole fennel that I really like because it adds kind of that sweet licoricey flavor that sausage has, and since I'm making pork, it's actually going to kind of turn it into the flavor of sausage. The vegetables I'm going to be using, I've got some shredded carrots, I've got some celery, I've got pepper, zucchini, some mushrooms, and this is onion. I'm sure we're going to need a bigger one, but for now that's good, and garlic for sure. But you can really use any vegetables you want. Literally, it is a great place to be able to hide them. So here we go. I use about a handful of that, throw it into my mortar and pestle, and then just pound it up. And that kind of gets the oils going and gets some of the seeds broken up. But it doesn't have to be really, it's not ground into fine powder or anything. And dump that in, and there we go. I'm also going to throw in a little bit of this McCormick's Perfect Pinch, no, that's blurry, there you go, Italian seasoning, just because it is Italian. So, but you can actually add your own. I just like these because they're already done, and it saves me from having to get a whole bunch of different spices. So don't be afraid to liberally season your meat. That's one of the main no-nos that people do. Even if you're not adding salt, if you don't season your meat and actually your vegetables through every step, it's going to wind up being bland. Especially because this, I'm actually going to probably put in the crock pot because we have to go out and we'll be back later. I don't know what time we'll be back, so I don't want it on the stove. I'm just going to stick it in the crock pot. And crock pot somehow leaches flavor out of food. I don't know why. So I try to really kind of season it. The other thing I was going to show you is my salt. I use salt, but this is kosher salt. I use either kosher salt or sea salt because you can actually use less. The flavor is more, and there's a lower sodium content in it. So I'm going to let that cook and brown up a little bit, and I'll check back with it in a second. And I actually have this is the beef all ground up and nice and brown. So it is almost ready to come out of the pan very shortly. So now I have chopped up my onions and garlic, and I'm going to saute those. But first, let me show you over here. I have drained I've drained my pork into a bowl so that everything drains out of it. I don't like to put it on a paper towel because I've already seasoned it, and because of that, the seasoning would actually stick to the paper towel. So I've just put some more oil into the pan. It's olive oil. I'm going to stick these inside, and I am going to take my onions and garlic. Normally I would saute onions first and garlic second because garlic tends to burn, and once it gets really brown, it gets gross. But we're actually not going to even brown these. They're just going to kind of sweat out for just a few minutes, kind of on medium-low. Okay, so now I have all my vegetables chopped, except for my mushrooms, but I'm going to do those last anyway. And they are just going to go into the food processor. And I'm actually going to do these in 2 batches. I'm going to do the carrots and celery and about half the pepper in 1 batch, and then I'm going to do the zucchini, mushrooms, and pepper in the 2nd batch. This is what it looks like with the 1st batch with the celery and carrots and onion and garlic. And I put this batch in first because the celery and carrots obviously take a little bit longer to saute up than everything else. And coming back over here, you see I used about half the cremini, a little over half of the creminis, saved a few for other meals, and they're about to get added in as well. Okay, so here's the finished product of the mushroom mixture. It really looks like ground beef, which is why I say you can make this 100% vegetarian. You don't have to add any meat at all. We, however, are meat lovers. I would eat an entire cow if you put it in front of me. But you don't have to. Wait, I'm sure you realize, but this is good to note, this strainer is metal. It is not plastic, which is why I could put hot meat in it. I would not suggest using this with a plastic strainer. Oh, by the way, Josh and I were just talking. If you live in Florida, or anywhere that's hot really, I'm used to keeping my milk on the door. I would not recommend it because it goes bad way quicker than it's supposed to if you keep it on the door, but if you put it inside, it stays colder longer. So we've started keeping it inside. This is not bad milk. So here's the weird thing. Okay, this is what makes this bolognese. Well, not weird, but this is the first part of the reduction. So I'm going to add my meat in. I'm going to stir that in a little bit. You see, it just looks all like ground beef. And then I am going to add in milk, just enough to cover it. Then I'm going to turn my burner up a little bit higher, about medium high at this point, and this is going to boil and begin to reduce down. And the milk will actually reduce, but it actually has a chemical reaction with the food. And actually this is a good for fish as well. Actually, this is a trick I learned in Brazil. It's all those Italian, the Italian influence, I'll tell you, they know what they're doing. But for fish, if you have a very strong smelling or tasting fish, if you put it in milk overnight, it doesn't smell bad, or it doesn't taste bad. It tastes really good. The same thing is true for Italian spaghetti sauce, true Bolognese. You bake your meat and whatever, and then you cover it with milk and you reduce it down. And then I'll show you the next step. It kind of looks like lava after a while. But here's the thing, guys. Don't be afraid to season. I mean, or to add different things. Just try different things. You can put fresh herbs in here. You can put whatever you want. I mean, whatever your particular flavor is. It's one of those sauces that it's really, really hard to mess up. Because there's a trick to the end that'll make it taste even better. But, yeah, just use what you can and just go for it. I mean, worst thing that's going to happen is you'll have one bad meal. So, while our meat, not our, I hate when people say that. It's not our, it's mine, because you are not making this exact same thing, unless you are at the present moment, which is less than likely. While this is bubbling away, and it's going to just continue to do that, I'm going to do the next step. So to make things a little bit easier, and also to get things started, I am going to just hit the button. I'm going to take a can of just Hunt's diced tomatoes with basil, garlic, oregano. You can use any kind you want. Use just whatever you have. It's fine. If you do organic, that's great. I do sometimes. That just happens to be what I had on hand. The other thing I love is Newman's Own Saccaroni, because it already is just, like he said, the whole shebang. It's got everything in it. And you just pour that right into your crock pot. Normally, people would just take this and throw it away. But since I learned some great cooking tips living in Brazil, we don't do that. One, because this is going to be very thick. There's really not going to be that much liquid in our meat and vegetables. So we are going to take a little bit of chicken broth and add that to the can. Just whatever. It's basically just to the consistency you want. Again, with a crock pot, not only does it leach flavor, but it also evaporates liquid pretty intensely. So here's the other trick. That's what our next phase of the meat's going to be. So I'm going to add a little bit of red wine to there as well. You can omit it if you don't want it. That's totally fine. Then I'm going to put the lid on. And I'm going to put the phone down to do this because otherwise it's going to get everywhere. Okay. So I'm going to shake this up. And then take this, pour some into the can. Kind of swish the can around and dump it in. And see all the bits that were on top of the lid? I was saying basically your jar is almost completely clean, so you really get every bit of the sauce out. And then it goes right in. We're going to turn on the crock pot. I'm actually going to put it on high so that can get nice and hot, so it's not cold when our veggies and meat go in there. And that's about it. We're just waiting for our veggies to get done. I have this huge box of chicken broth still left, so I'm probably not going to use it. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for maybe about a week, and then after that I'm just going to stick the whole box right into the freezer, and that way I have it when I need it. Okay, so here it is, all done basically. That's the first reduction. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing with a little bit less and add the red wine in, and then let that reduce as well. Now this whole section, this whole part takes probably about an hour or so before you're ready to go, but don't skip it. This is what makes it so awesome. So you can add as much or as little as you want, but you just do that, kind of squish it up, and then let's just let it reduce on down. And then when that's reduced, we'll do the next step. Okay, there it is, the final product. So now I'm going to turn this off, bring it over here, and one-handedly, like a pro, pour it into, whoops, steam that up. Sorry. Pour it into the crock pot. Put that in the sink. Now, the other thing that I love are capers. I know some people like them, some people don't, but I personally do. So I'm going to throw a few of my little Mickey teaspoons into that as well. And just some of the juice too, because it all adds. Oh, thank you. We're just watching my toaster. I apologize. Okay, gonna mix it all up. This is very hard to do while I'm trying to hold this, but that's it. And you see what I mean, though? It really is, like, the meat and mixture is just not liquid enough, so you really do have to add extra liquid to it. That's it. All done. Lid on. And the next time we'll check back will be dinner time. Is the finished product. I can talk about you if I want to. So, it was a kind of crazy, uneventful day. We had some errands to do this afternoon, and didn't get home till very late, much later than we had expected. So I came home and ate, but didn't have our whole spaghetti thing. I had some of the sauce, but we'll have it for tomorrow for dinner, hopefully. And if you're wondering why I kind of look weird at the end of these, it's because I actually have my contacts out, because I had a migraine earlier, so I had to take some medicine. But I have my glasses on, but when I put my glasses on, there's like a reflection off of everything. So I was like, well, I'll just take them off and be blind. So anyway, tomorrow, not too sure what's going to go on, but we'll see. Hope you guys had a great day, and remember, no matter what you're going through, it's all part of the plan. Night.